to Tennis Recruiting Strategies 101. I'll be your recruiting coach for today. My name is Coach Abe Shu. For those that are joining us for this class, if you have any questions, please feel free to type it in the chat box. And for those that are watching this as a recording, please feel free to reach out to us at any time. At the very end of this presentation, there'll be an email and a phone number that you can reach out to us with. All right, awesome. So let's get started. Cool. Just a little bit about myself. My name is Coach Abe again. The former 4-star in tennis recruiting, so number 22 in Texas, 169 in the nation. So I had roughly a UTR around a 12. I was actually a walk-on for Texas A&M University as a practice partner. I decided to forego a lot of my scholarships because A&M was my favorite school. Luckily, I made the team, played there for 4 years, got my undergrad degree in sports management at A&M, and then got my master's at Georgetown University in sports industry management. Did work for a couple different organizations before NCSA, specifically the Washington Redskins and Houston Texans. So if you have any questions about even the recruiting process or about working in the sports industry field, please let me know and I'd be more than happy to help out. Cool. Staying on a couple some of these slides for a couple more seconds so that y'all could write down some things that are very important. And of course, like I said, recording at the end of this class. So just a quick agenda for what we're going to be talking about this evening. So the first part is just what to do for researching schools and, how to kind of start that process. Creating your own target list of schools based on some criteria that you're looking for in a college. Updating/completing your NCSA profile. Number 4, emailing coaches. And number 5, contact rules and recruiting timeline. Researching schools, the first bullet point. So there's going to be a lot of different opportunities in schools out there. So where should you look? So if you're in the initial stages, initial processes of reaching schools and you don't have a solid list, there's a great little tab on your NCSA profile called Find Colleges. All right, this is the initial stages, and so you can kind of input specific states that you are really interested in going to, and then scrolling on down, you'll be able to see advanced search options. This is where you're able to select, division levels that you're interested in, academic selectivities of the schools, the enrollment size, school tuition, and then really talk about school type, college setting, public, private, and then very lastly, show majors. The initial steps that I recommend in the beginning of the process is really just selecting certain states and then really looking at the show majors tab, selecting the major that you are very interested in trying to study. That way it gives you a wide variety of all the schools from all division levels and all sizes. You don't touch any of those, and the things that you do touch is the states and show majors. However, as you get more and more into this process, you can select the different division levels and maybe the athletic selectivity of them. Definitely look into the Recruiting 101 class, as that class really gives you kind of where you should be aiming for when it comes to the division level selectivity, academic selectivity, etc. So feel free to check that out for the next month. Creating your own target list. All right, so what are some factors that you are looking for in a college? And here's some just other examples of what you're looking for. Maybe it can be distance from home. Do you like it to be close to home, away from home? Location-wise, do you like it to be close to a city, near a city, away from a city? Again, location and distance from home can be very similar. Competition, going to that school specifically for the academics and then tennis is a huge plus, or vice versa. Perceived playing time, that stuff definitely something that you can talk to the coach about and get a little bit more information on, as they'll have a little bit more of an insight on that. You can really talk to a coach like, where would I fit your lineup currently right now, etc. The coach, really, getting to know the coach, because that's going to be an important factor as to the relationship and seeing if you can really mesh well personality-wise with that coach. Of course, the teammates too. You want to make sure that you get along with your future teammates as well. Team record may be another thing that you're looking for. You want to go into a program that's consistently winning, or you maybe want to talk to that team and really try to, be that advantage for your team to ultimately bring them from, the mid to maybe top of the conference. Majors, absolutely big plus. You want to make sure that the school has the major that you are essentially trying to study, because if the school doesn't have the major that you want to study, essentially it would be kind of a waste of time for both you and that coach. All right. It's definitely going to be 4 or 5 years, but your academic is going to be 30, 40 years down the road. So you got to think in the long run when it comes to your major. Overall academics of that school, scholarship opportunities both academically and athletically, and then potential for growth or potential of just really in general of what you see in that school. All right. Side note, you want to make sure that you are really researching schools at all levels. Right? You always want to make sure that you have a backup plan B, plan C, plan D, etc. All right. And like I said, in the target list phase, you want to start with colleges in your state and then surrounding states, and then move on out to other states that you are very interested in. A target list should have roughly, I would say, actually 30 to 40 schools. If you have that, you can narrow down a little bit more and then zoom down into more so 20 to 30 schools later on. Complete and update your NCSA profile. All right. I'm sure I was able to talk to a couple of y'all before, but if not, there are really 3 major things that a lot of coaches would like to see on your NCSA profile. All right. The first one is a video. It is really the best way for a college coach to be able to evaluate you as a player. And so not a lot of times coaches can come watch you play tournaments. And so having that video on your profile and really updating it every 4 to 6 weeks is going to be your best friend. Very, very first video, I would say, half it should be a skills video and the other half of it should be point play. But moving forward, any video afterwards, just be point play. One thing to note is if you do end up changing your swing or the form on certain strokes, then I would add that, but ultimately the majority of your video should be point play after the first video. All right. Second one is going to be talking about adding a transcript on profile. Coaches want to see what classes you're taking and seeing what you're really scoring grade-wise on those in those classes. All right. Make sure that you are updating your on your profile after every semester, or possibly if you want every quarter. It doesn't have to be an official one. It could be an unofficial transcript. So you can definitely just ask your administrator or to send it to you, or just take a picture of it and upload onto your NCSA profile. Thirdly is really talking about your preferences, making sure that your preferences are up to date. You can find your preference page on edit profile and then preferences, and of course just a little bit knowing a little bit more about where you would like to go, because that will greatly affect what's known as your My Top Matches list. All right. On your preferences, after the no bar for both the states and academic athletic selectivity, there's a gray bar with a white arrow pointing down. You can click on that, and then that actually expands that list and gives you states within that region, or the conference level wise of the division levels. All right. Information, updating your profile with any new information is always a big plus. new club information with club schedule. So for you all, it would be a little bit more towards schedule, USTA specifically. That's going to be a big plus for you. Unfortunately, high school tennis is just not enough for collegiate tennis, and so having played or continuing to play in USTA is going to be a big help for you. All right, new athletic accomplishments, specifically if it is more so talking about, regional, state, individual, or team. Even maybe doing well in a USTA tournament, you can add there. New academic information, like I said, what kind of AP classes you're taking, the types of accomplishments, honor roll, NHS, except GPA improvement, SAT score, ACT score improvements, etc. Maybe possibly a new private coach that you have, you can add that in there, and then additional sports/workouts. So for those that are currently playing on other varsity teams, you can add that. Coaches love to see that as well. Emailing coaches, all right? You can email coaches before you have a video on your profile to let them know that you're interested in their team. So a lot of times, you want to try to do as much as possible when it comes to emailing those coaches. One before your video is finished, one after your video has finished. That way, instead of sending one email, you're essentially sending two videos. All right, not two videos, two emails. That's more likely that the coach will know your name, recognize, and respond back to you. All right. Here's a big thing to know. When you are emailing coaches, it is very common that a coach does not respond back to you after that first email. So what you need to do is be very adamant and resilient when it comes to emailing. Email them until they respond. You get that bug in their ear and annoy them until they respond. For those that are underclassmen, maybe possibly junior currently, I would say every 2-3 weeks with a follow-up email. For those that are currently seniors, every week until they respond. Have fourth or fifth email, either move on to a new school, or if you really like that school, I would suggest calling the coaches. Typically, the athletic page on the school websites do have their numbers, and so you're more than welcome to call them. Either they start with the assistant coach and then move on to the head coach, or vice versa. It's really up to you. They will want to see your video to make an initial assessment, and once you do get that video on your profile, send them a follow-up email. All right. Always great to send them follow-up emails, whether it's after the first email, after the video has been finished, after your new test scores have been updated, after new rankings, etc. You always want to make sure that you have a clear line of communication when talking with the coaches. It's always never not good. It's always good to reach out to that coach as much as possible with updates, whether it's new tournaments, new GPA, new rankings, new video, etc. If you want, you can definitely share your tournament schedule with some of them and actually invite them to your tournaments, especially for those local colleges around you that you're very interested in going. You can let them know that you have a USTA tournament and then you would love for them to kind of come watch you play. There may be some restrictions when it comes to when they can contact you at the tournaments, but it's always good to invite them if they can. Introduction email. Very important. Introduction email should be short and to the point. You don't want it to be an essay. You don't want it to be long. All right. Maximum number of sentences I recommend is either 12 or 13. No more than that, and you want to get to the point with a lot of those things that you want to talk about. You really get to know a little bit about the coach and tell a little bit more about yourself when you are on the phone with that coach, or when you identify there is going to be an opportunity at that school. So an opportunity means they are actually recruiting your person for your graduating year, or the coach has said, yeah, I'm very interested in coming to come visit our school, etc. So you want to make sure that that there is an opportunity to play for them. All right. Typically, they will let you know, like, yeah, I saw your video. Yeah, let's set up a time to talk. Or more so than no, it's like, unfortunately, your level is not really at what we're wanting right now. However, if you do get up to this certain ranking or certain GPA or whatever, then come back to us and talk to us. So that gives you a little bit of time to really make improvements in your game to hopefully get up to what they're looking for ranking wise. All right. It's really the first part of your intro email. So your subject line should be, name, grad year, tennis recruiting star rating, tennis recruiting national ranking, UTR, GPA, and video. If you have a video, go ahead and put that. But if you don't have a video, you can just leave that blank. If you don't have a tennis recruiting star rating or national ranking at all, leave that blank, and then you can put, where you're from. Just put the initials for your state and then TR, GPA, and video. All right, you want to use this subject to make yourself really stand out from all the other emails that they receive, so they know that this is a recruit email rather than just another spam email. All right, so example of mine would have been Abraham Shue, 19, 4-star, 169 nation, 1201 UTR, 3.4 GPA, video. All right. Awesome. So here is really the intro email draft that you could possibly use. Okay. Here, hi coach, I hope this email finds you well, or hi coach, I hope your weekend's doing well. You always want to make sure that you are very polite in the very beginning of the email. All right, that's one of the big things that you want to put on there. Then you would go on and really introduce yourself, saying, my name is so and so from wherever, and I currently attend whatever school. Here are just some of my rankings. Tennis recruiting, USTA. You don't have to necessarily put USTA that much, just because coaches are starting to lean more towards your tennis recruiting and your UTR. I currently have a GPA this and this with an SAT score of so and so. If you have enough space, you can say, like, why you're interested in playing tennis, why you've been interested in playing, like what drew you to tennis. You don't have to go super in depth. Just say, I grew up playing tennis, and I would love to at least play for your school, so and so. Paragraph 2 is school specific information. All right, let them know why you're interested in that school, whether it is let's see, your parents went to that school, or they have a great business program, or the tennis team is really good and you want to be a part of that. Lastly, let them know that you have a NCSA profile with a video. If you don't have a video, say, I do have an NCSA profile, but I'm currently working on my video, so I will email you with a follow-up once the video has been finished. Ask 1 or 2 questions about recruiting. Are they currently recruiting players for the 2019 class, 2020 class, etc. We're typically looking for in a recruit athletically, academically. Really great questions to ask that coach. And then lastly, you can say, thank you so much for your time. I look forward to hearing from you very soon. Then you would leave your name, contact information, both personal, email, and cell phone number, and then obviously, of course, a link to your NCSA profile. Cool. Emails. All right. You make sure that you are continuing to email coaches with an update on any progress with tournament play, school grades, test scores, or if a coach has not responded to you, you always want to make sure that you're still sending up a follow-up email. So if they end up opening the email, right, you can send them this email titled, hi, coach, I hope you're doing well. Congrats on, the recent win against so-and-so. Or just say, I hope you're doing out. If they haven't played anyone pretty recently, just say, hey, coach, I hope you're doing well. This is so-and-so again. I'm still very interested in, playing for your school. I would love to set up a time for us to talk. Here are a couple of days and times available. Thanks so much for your time, and I look forward to hearing from you. So that's the follow-up email if the coach has already opened up your email. If they haven't, go ahead and resend your intro email. All right? You keep doing that until they respond, like I said. All right. Again, updates should be sent out once every 2 to 3 weeks, not months. Weeks. Like any update is a great update, so make sure that you're having any opportunity of updating that coach with any new information. Contact rules, so very, very important. All right, so for D3 and NAIA programs, full contact is allowed. So that means emails, text messages, phone calls, and unofficial visits are allowed. However, there's going to be some dates that unofficial visits are going to be put in place for D3 and possibly for NAIA. A little bit more information, you can just let us know. For D1, D2, no coach emails, texts, or phone calls until specified times. Unofficial visits are actually really allowed at any time. So for Division III, unofficial visits are allowed at any time. Official visits are at a certain time. Sorry about that. A little bit more information on the recruiting timeline-wise. September 1st of your junior year is going to be a very, very important date. All right, that's when a lot of times coaches can start responding back to you with emails, phone calls, text messages, and form of communication. All right, one thing to note, and D2 wise, June 15th after your sophomore year, before your junior year, is when they can start sending back, text messages, emails, phone calls, etc. Pre-NAI and JUCO, no restrictions, can really start as early as freshman year for y'all. All right. One thing to note, fall semester may be a little bit slow, and also spring, but typically this will be just a little slow, not, I would say, slow as spring. Spring is going to be the biggest time for how slow it is. In January to roughly around, I would say, mid-April is when it gets a little bit slow with the recruiting process, because it's going to be full swing in season. There's going to be preliminary season information, so there'll be different times that you're able to kind of slide in there and talk to them. However, a coach really likes you. They will really try to talk to you as much as possible, and that's why we're saying as much outreach as possible as well. Awesome. So that is really all the information I wanted to talk to y'all about tonight. Thank you so much for those that joined us, and for those that are watching this recording. Please feel free to reach out to us at any time, 877-845-6277, or email us at recruithelp@ncsasports.org. For those that are MVP, Pro Match, and Recruit Match, please feel free to reach out to me at any time. And for those that are Champion Elite, please feel free to reach out to those two stated contact infos. Thanks so much for joining me, and have a great evening.